No better place to find your beach than on the beach. Okay, podcast today is coming to you live from Maui. The subject of the podcast might catch a little bit of a few people off guard. It's called the $1,000,000 Pickup Line, and when somebody 80-year-old and dealing with Parkinson comes up with a topic like that, there's a little bit of an ulterior motive. I have found that I guess the rockstar marketing people are trying to figure out, and most have figured out ways to contact and deal with customers. And I wanted to kind of go back and reflect on a vacation 3 years ago when we went to the beach, and I want to talk a little bit about meeting people at the pool, and also just some clips from people that I've met and how you do that, and maybe sometimes it's pretty quick, and sometimes it's very subtle. But the thoughts in this podcast again are good for people who have gone through different phases of marketing. I can think of the people that that just want to call up people and try to make a contact and do a sale. And then I went to a UBS class in New Jersey, right outside New York, and it was kind of odd that at that time, because I'd become a financial advisor at over past 60, so I'd been passing all the Series 7 and Series 66 and insurance. And when you got there, they were trying to teach us how to sell. And the idea there is that they've come across this new idea of relationship marketing, and marketing by, we're not going to just call up somebody out of the phone book or whatever, but we're going to try to build a relationship. Duh. That's what people in the Ozarks have done for years, and probably in the country have done for years. So I've kind of laughed at the time when I was up there and said, well, this is going to be fun. And it was, because I couldn't believe that people have difficulty with that. I know when I was talking to Craig O'Neill, we went into a big, I guess we got diverted a little bit, but it was kind of important to him, and I think he was wanting to make the point, and he has got a background as a news reporter, wanting to dig down deeply, and I didn't necessarily want to give it away, but I think he was hitting on it pretty much and going around the things that I wanted to communicate. But a lot of times it's one of those simple things that people forget about, and they forget how to use it. So I wanted to go back and kind of give the narrative when we went to the beach, and I was able to use Speechify on that, and also bring in some other clips. So I hope you enjoy this.
Now, okay, I gotta know, do you do it on impulse, or do you have a calendar in front of you and with this intent of getting out and doing, of bonding with people, do you schedule things?
Not very much.
Really?
Yeah, no, I like to do that. In fact, I may go down this afternoon to Happy Hour just to sit there and talk to people, because I meet a lot of people. I was down into the beach one time. My son took us down here, and I went down there, and I just met all kinds of people that you sit there and talk to, and that's the good thing.
All right, now how do you meet them? You hold out a tin cup with a sign?
Okay, I thought I'd put a clip here of how I've done it at the Razorback Club or just anywhere. But kind of gives you an idea.
Grim with one M. I do not have two M's. I don't melt in your mouth or your hands.
What's your famous day? I don't know, you on 103?
Crazy day.
Crazy day. Okay. Well, that's good to meet you. I was just trying to get you.
And J Rock.
J Rock.
J Rock.
Okay, that's Jay. And who's in between you?
That's J-Rock's wife, Jen.
All right. Good to meet you. I see. We don't have business cards, so we're just getting videos of that. I think that's the best way to do it anymore.
To record that. But no, it's that's what you have to do if you're in technology. It's one of those things that things change so rapidly that you have to stay on top of it, and that's why I kind of enjoy anything that's has to do with that. And then that was one of the reasons I kind of chose, this you as far as cutting the hair. As you can tell, I probably don't do it as much as I should, but maybe I don't need as much because I don't have that much hair. But I think it's always good to find someone that that you can kind of go in and talk and also and
a lot of times you'll say something about where are you from or just a general thing, and you'll get into a conversation about sports or something about, I don't get into politics. I stay away from that totally.
Sure.
But I get into all the things that, you talk about with, what's going on as far as, and I've got a funny thing. I've got a cane. I don't know where it's here, but I got in Arizona and everybody likes that cane. Here's the cane. Well, you might as well see it. Why people talk about it all the time and why it's a good conversation piece. Thanks. It looks like, it's all Indian type stuff, and I don't know if I don't go in any place if they don't say something about that.
So when do you try to find a spot where people are going to be in line to get, I don't know, coffee or something, or do you find a spot where people start to congregate? Do you strategic?
Can't beat this location. Just standing out there, sitting out there. Amazing how many people come up to you and talk to you.
Backbone, the backbone's connected to the shoulder bone. These are the bones you know. The backbone's connected to the shoulder bone. The shoulder bone's connected to the neck bone.
No problem getting people to help when you're taking a selfie, particularly when you're sitting nearby a gorilla.
If we could talk to the animals, just imagine it, chatting with a chimp and chimpanzee. Imagine talking to a tiger, chatting with a cheetah. What a neat achievement it would be. If we could talk to the animals, learn their language.
Select a spot to sit to talk to
Yeah,
people?
well, sometimes it's that, or sometimes people are advertising. You got a cap on or a shirt on or something. And this shirt actually is about a book that's, and I'm going to talk about that a little later. But we have a person in our boxing group that has written a children's book. So if there's something that you come, it really kind of just comes off just off the spot, and you could be something. Sports is easy now with obviously with things going on with the Calipari.
Right.
And
Okay, I know I'm
no,
diverting you from what you want to talk about, but I got to know one more thing.
Well,
Is there a line or a question that opens people up? Let me share one with you.
Okay.
One of my favorite things to ask when I'm with couples is, where did you two meet?
yeah.
That's one of my, it brings out, it suddenly, you can see people open up and smile. And I'm wondering if you
That's
have a repertoire of questions you might ask that open people up.
that's a lot of it is or are you from a little? I just moved here and I'm wanting to know something, and I was at. It's the funny thing. It happened and kind of in reverse. We was on the bikes down there at the therapy, and this guy looked at me and I could tell he thought he knew me or knew something about me, and he come to me and said, "Did anybody ever say you look like Terry Bradshaw?"
Video.
now you said that I look like who now?
Sorry?
Who do I look like?
Terry Bradshaw.
Terry Bradshaw. How do I look like Brad? Just because I don't have any hair? Or?
No, you got his dimple in your chin.
All right. Well, I just wanted to get somebody.
I got the laugh, and I said the only people who said that is people that were well. I got the dimple here. That's
Oh, I see. Yeah. Okay.
So he.
Well, I can see it.
Well, yeah. But the thing I said, well, only people that's coming, that's had a drink or two. I said the only thing I said as far as doppelganger type stuff, not anybody sober. So I took a picture of him saying it, so I could show people There are sober people that have said that, not
Well,
you know. So,
I
but those
get-
are, you know, you just kind of go through the role
Right.
of a lot of things. If you get a chance to anywhere, and as I said, I don't know, it's a racetrack. The NASCAR guy, I forget now, the one that actually I think they won, maybe maybe the ones that I don't know, it's Indianapolis 500, but sometimes you see the NASCAR kind of crossover, and you see people. Hendricks, I think this guy was from Hendricks, and you and
Wait a minute. You're telling me a NASCAR fan went to Hendricks?
Well, the name is Hendricks.
Oh, his name was Hendricks.
That's a popular name. They don't
Well,
talk.
in
They don't
Arkansas-
talk names. They talk numbers. You know.
In Arkansas, the chance of a NASCAR fan being at Hendricks are pretty slim.
I know. I met a person here from Hendricks that it was pretty interesting because you know you pick up on that immediately and you start that dialogue for sure. But that's a lot of that type of thing that goes on, and it's you know that's the good thing about this type of thing. You slow down, kind of smell the roses, and then you start talking to people, and they may
listening,
ask you,
and listening to people, and that's what people want so badly is to be heard. And when you are in your position, or now that I'm retired, I'm finding I can take my time and listen to the story, because we all have these stories that are that's our treasure.
Yeah,
Our stories are our treasure.
The lady that's writing this book, I have to tell you that because it's part of the story anyway, but I had invited her to come to Little Rock to my neurologist because she was of course Parkinson's, and she wanted to see what I did and she wrote down with me, and I said, you know, she's hard of hearing, and she just had a thing there, she was crocheting and everything. And I was telling people when I was writing down, I said, I'm going to be talking to her all the way, you know, and she's just going to be sitting there doing her thing and everything. And I asked her a question, and I started listening, and I just listened to her all the way. She talked all the way down. All the way
You
down.
were expecting to be the one to talk.
Yeah,
No.
and she got a better story than I did.
Don't you hate that?
Yeah. Well, I mean, her husband was a PGA. Well, he didn't play on the tour, but he was at a course, and our son was at a course, and he's had a stroke, and he's been you know in pretty bad shape. So she had a story that I never had heard, and we just went on and on on the trip, and they had gone to all kinds of things in New England, like the Celtics and Patriots, and he had been helping with some of the announcings. And so they were real popular people, and they were in a different lifestyle. And she's a second grade teacher. That's why when I started kind of plugging her books she's really got a good background to do children's books.
I'm sure.
And so she's starting to roll these out, and I think that it kind of opened my eyes when I was there. And then we had a lady that also was a commander on one of the hospital ships. That I knew nothing about the hospital ships. I knew they weren't very many of them. They were big ships, and they got their names on them. And when you have somebody that's worked in the hospital, you know, there, then you find out, what do you do when you're not working? You know, and that was
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah, because
she used that one.
She read books, and she was over there, you know, in the Desert Storm and all the early phases of that. And I said, well, didn't you watch Satellite to see what was going on? She said, no, they come around and talk to us. And it was just pretty amazing to see what people do in those situations.
Well,
you know, Herb's one of these guys that he's never met a stranger.
Yep.
To prove Lane's point, I wore my orange to hear Peyton Manning speak at the Little Rock Touchdown Club, and I sat around these characters.
You're Randy Travis, right?
No, Randy Garrett.
Randy Garrett.
This is Travis.
Okay. Are you Randy Travis? Or you
Sure.
I'm ready. Well, I was getting the names mixed up here. But that's okay. I got both of you. Now tell me what you do so I'll have you on record.
Okay.
All right.
I'm the director for the Arkansas Baptist State Convention Disaster Relief. We're the yellow shirts to go in and help people in times of need.
Okay. So you're here in Little Rock, but you travel all over the country.
All over.
Grim with one M. I do not have two M's. I don't melt in your mouth or your hands.
What's your famous name? I don't know 103.
Crazy day.
Crazy. Okay. Well, that's good to meet you. I was trying to get you.
And J Rock.
J Rock.
J Rock.
Okay, that's Jay. And who's in between you?
That's J Rock's wife, Jen.
All right.
Background. life. Just a little bit of back.
Okay, some people have it figured out. They're going to say funny things to keep you from taking the recording and using it.
What do you do?
No, I don't do anything now. I just sell dope to school kids, and at senior citizen homes, I take them and sell a lot of painkillers.
Okay. And what is your name?
And then, other than what you just bought me, or bought from me, and thanks again for that extra tip. These guys from Harrison tip good, man, for those painkillers.
I'm glad to catch up.
And so my name?
Yeah, what is
Chris Elliott.
Chris Elliott,
14607 Donaghy Court, West Little Rock, Arkansas, 72223.
Is that somebody I'm going to get in trouble? If I look that person up, would I get?
No, look them up. Heck, it ain't no problem. And if you want, and just to prove I'm telling you the truth, there's a rabbit in my hat.
Okay, you can pull a rabbit out of your hat.
That's right, just in case it's necessary.
And just kind of make a tour of, when you get an opportunity to do something like this, it's fun. And how long have you been here?
About 20 years.
20 years?
Yes,
okay.
Sure.
Well, I've been a few places in Mexico. Where'd you say you were from?
San Luis Potosí, Mexico.
And where is that close to?
It's more like a center of Mexico.
Center?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been more on the coast. I spent a lot of time in South America and down in Argentina and Brazil.
Oh, really?
Yeah, a lot of those places.
All right, this is an article I wrote about 3 years ago when we went to the beach. I was trying to recall some of the things that I had done with CUO.
As you get older, opportunities to gather as a family become rarer. Not so much due to age, but members going their separate ways. The celebration of my daughter's 50th birthday, officially September 24th, is one of those. Planned by my son and wife, mainly by her, we were able to gather with our 2 grandkids and a friend at Sandestin. Our grandson resides in Madison, Wisconsin, employed as a biomedical engineer, and granddaughter is starting college at Duke. Friend was from Duke with a Bangladesh heritage. Very interesting and personable when asked a question, always politely answering and responding with a question. Something noticeably absent in the modern U.S. culture. Great time was had by all. My son brought his bike and channeled his Tom Cruise need for speed, along with other biking buddies down from Little Rock, through the streets of Destin and neighboring towns. Unfortunately, that need was shortened on the trip home, when a Mississippi State policeman clocked him driving 72 in a 55 miles per hour zone. As a biased parental observer, I thought it was a speed trap. Long 2-lane stretch, normally 65 miles per hour. My son did not openly agree about trap, but did comment to the officer that he thought he wasn't driving that fast. Being from out of state, apparently that defense wasn't worthy of a response, so the ticket writing process proceeded uninterrupted. My daughter, who appeared nervous, sitting in the back seat when the black policeman approached and checked her out in our beach gear in the back. Christy, normally a chatterbox, remained silent. I told her later the policeman was very professional, and how important it is for people to treat each other with mutual respect. Easier to make a life lesson when you aren't paying the ticket. Cover picture of sunrise and moonlight reflect the beauty of the beach. My company's history has been captured in Appendix A for purposes of archiving with other successful international technology companies founded in Arkansas. Something that I was asked to do, and I'm pleased to participate in. While relaxing at the beach, I updated my bio notes and practiced some business development information gathering techniques. Our daughter Christy was born with oral facial digital syndrome, which has resulted in numerous hours of surgery and therapy, including kidney transplant and both knees replaced. She was involved in a trial study at UIH in Bethesda, Maryland, long before UIH became a household name during the pandemic. They also were responsible for finding a cancerous tumor in my kidney lining that was successfully removed. Life is Good is Christy's favorite brand on right. Following is a discussion that I had with a close friend and consultant while in Costa Rica in the 90s, included in my article about social capital being the most important asset in a business. Circa December 2018 email from Sid. Reading this message, the joy we feel has little to do with the circumstances of our lives and everything to do with the focus of our lives. I am reminding of the time we were in Costa Rica. and we came across a very poor village in the middle of nowhere, and there seemed to be a lot of happy children and people. I asked to compare these people with people born in what we would call special circumstances, like kid born to our kids, our grandkids, and you said that those people are just as happy as people born in super good circumstances. I've thought of that since I think I agree that happiness has less to do with circumstances and more to do with focus. Those folks in Costa Rica were focused on their particular reality, and it brought them as much happiness as the kids of millionaires and wealthiest neighborhoods in the U.S., maybe possibly even more happiness. Sid, my response to Sid. Thanks. Your memory is impressive for an old guy. I always enjoyed our conversations. We are kindred spirits that feed off each other. I know in dealing with a child with disabilities, happiness is focus. Christy's favorite clothes are Life is Good, brand. Others might dwell on circumstances. Disabilities, knee replacement and kidney transplant, she doesn't. Similar to situation in Costa Rica. Herb, Sid sat December 1st, 11:05 a.m. to me, Herb. I have often given talks or presentation to church groups and used your example of what it did for you to have a special child like Christy and how it softened your heart and your outlook on life and people. Not just once, I noticed tears in people's eyes who were deeply touched by how it all affected you. Sid and I provide global solutions consulting, and social capital is our biggest asset.
Okay, there's one obvious area. There I said UIH, which is kind of tied with cable, but it was NIH. The National Institute of Health is where we went to in Bethesda, Maryland. So I just want to make that correction. Okay, the next video was recorded in Phoenix with Sid Shreve last summer. So you can see that a more current video is a little bit different than emails that were, I guess, 6 years ago.
Doing work down there, so I thought it was interesting that we came across this village over in Costa Rica, and there was a lot of kids out there playing, and we started having a discussion as, you know, can they be happy there or be as happy there as our kids are in the States? And I thought you had a lot of things that you thought about and you asked, and I thought maybe
you said something to me that I've often thought about. We're going kind of through a little jungle area, a little road. We come into an open area, a little village.
And we did have these buzzards flying over us.
And as we were going down the little road, the little narrow road, there's a little power line here. There were a couple of buzzards flying. They'd fly ahead of us, and when we get up there, they kept going to the next one. Kind of like they were waiting for us to die or something. We weren't sure. But anyway, we came upon this village, and there was a bunch of little kids playing. How come your grandson was born in the circumstances in which he was born, and then you got these little kids out here that just out here in this village running around, and you said something to me, you said, yeah, but look at them. Look how happy they are.
Mm-hmm.
And I started thinking, what is happiness? Is it having lots of things? Is it just being happy with your friends and that? So it kind of gave me a little pause to think a little bit. In some of my church activity, when I had to give a talk or get a lesson or something, I used that example several times. And it was very interesting. Of course,
The joy we feel has little to do with the circumstances of our lives and everything to do with the focus of our lives. And so you can see here my family puts the fun in dysfunctional. Another shirt that my daughter's worn. And she's always caught wearing a Life is Good shirt. She could be a great sponsor for Life is Good. But she likes to wear that shirt, and that's her...
Details in following article. People I met and what I learned at the beach. Much like traveling around the world or anywhere on business, there are two major types of travelers, those who smell the roses and those who don't. For example, on flights, you'll find those who prefer reading and working, and others who prefer talking. Either way, it's easily qualified by a brief hello and introduction. Tune in or tune out, don't be a nuisance. Zoom meetings have allowed business to be conducted without the travel hassles and expense. Nice, but have to admit the travel and on-site experiences are incredibly important for developing mine and others' businesses. There's an inherent advantage to showing enough interest to meet on their turf, particularly internationally. With local knowledge, you are more inclined to search out and discuss their favorites as far as historical sites, shopping, and restaurants. I prefer that to global chains and reviews. Helps to listen before suggesting. Too many times business has been lost before there is an opportunity by telling first. Most of my family, like many others, prefer reading at the beach. Being known as a nonconformist, I prefer meeting people and building relationships. The nature of business development consultants. That said, in many of my past trips, I have preferred going and doing playing golf, visiting historical sites, restaurants, and similar to my son's biking, other activities. Once biking the 25 miles route in Maui, where 98% of bike ride is downhill. Theater in London, along with sightseeing, tasting the delicacy Kai guinea pig in Peru, catching and eating piranha on the Amazon. Visiting the grave of Eva Peron in the Recoleta Cemetery, surrounding by great shopping and restaurants. Ambassador of Argentina picking my partner and me up in his black Mercedes and going to dinner. Meeting and conversing one-on-one with various celebrities at conferences. Joe Namath, Jim Cramer, Mark Cuban, etc. guest on China TV variety show. This time things were different, with the pandemic influence. More time at the pool, for me, less time on the beach. Cooking and eating at the condo, visiting and playing board games. Socially, my wife is very personable, never met a stranger, and I am much more reserved. Cultural and communication skills were keys to founding and growing a technology company in rural Arkansas and taking solution nationally and internationally. On the trip down, made via 2 SUVs, my son listened to several Freakonomic pods. An important focus of the pod discussions was cultural differences. Much like the book All I Really Need to Know I Learned in Kindergarten by Robert Fogum, I've made similar observations on cultural differences which I described as localization long before the Freakonomic phenomenon. See notes that I prepared for an interview on Arkansas technology with Arkansas Systems company founder John Chamberlain, with plans to be archived along with other founders. Appendix A. My experience in cable has given me an opportunity to connect with people nationally and internationally. Early owners and investors were straight out of the Wild West with their management styles. Those successful nationally took their skills internationally. It was all about ownership of content and not about government franchises. So easy to come up with local stories and connections once the basic question of where are you from? And in some cases, when appropriate, where were you born? Many times we are too consumed with quick, direct sales and fail to build relationships which lead directly or indirectly to bigger opportunities. People live somewhere for a reason. Finding out that reason gets you past the cold call approach by having community familiarity, gets you past the demographics and hard facts. Besides my career in technology and business development, I was a financial advisor for UBS and MetLife from 2015 to 2012.
2005 to 2012.
I mention it only to bring up UBS epiphany on relationship selling. I spent a week in New York being trained by New Yorkers that cold calls and hard selling weren't working anymore. So they are starting this new thing called relationship selling. Duh. On the first day at the pool, I met 2 people discussing sports, one from Chicago and the other from Charlotte, North Carolina. The Hendricks Motorsports on his shirt was a giveaway for NASCAR. So you know to speak to him in numbers, in this case drivers number 5, number 9, number 24, and number 48. He was a fabricator specializing on the left rear wheel. If anything goes wrong there, he's the blame. He likes his job, got paid during the pandemic, and now doesn't attend all races in person. For the non-race fans, you can find the answer to the numbers. His wife was interesting as well, gold miner's daughter, definitely not a gold digger, whom I met the next day at the pool. She grew up in the Black Hills of South Dakota after the early gold rush times, while her dad was pursuing his dreams. After that failed, family moved to North Carolina. She attended college at Arizona State. Then she returned to North Carolina and now works for Wells Fargo Bank developing a diversity program for there. Existing and new accounts. Not her dream job, but loves her husband. Her dream job would be an engineer for a bourbon company. During a rain shower at the pool, I met a used car salesman in the covered restroom area. He confirmed that the used car business has been great over the past couple of years, so finding out he was from Sandy Hook, Kentucky, Pop 675, was a plus. In the 70s, I worked at Ashland Oil in nearby Ashland, Kentucky. See notes Appendix A. So catching up in the area was interesting. My daughter was born there. Ashland Oil owned Valvoline, so winning the Indy 500 was a must. A J4 vehicle were frequent visitors. After leaving Ashland, I had sold several cable software systems in eastern Kentucky, including Irvine, Harlan, and Elkhorn City. In coal country, where there were a lot of people with same last name and address locations next to a hollow, ability to link 911 addresses to our location files was a big competitive advantage. Many refer to the Florida Panhandle as the Redneck Riviera for a good reason. Majority of visitors are from neighboring states of Alabama, Georgia, Mississippi, and Louisiana. Met a family from Chicago. Wife was a nurse and spouse was an advertising salesman. The obvious discussion with the nurse included thanking her for her services and how she was processing the pandemic emergency. She got burned out and now was focusing on home care. At 49, she had made a major career change. Age discussion came about since we were celebrating my daughter's 50th. The advertising salesman wasn't old school sales, but was digital Google, Facebook, Amazon related. Easy to discuss since I had been involved early on, recognizing the value proposition of behavioral marketing and targeted sales. Something missed by cable and newspapers. I mentioned my development experience with Zenith at a Chicago suburb, led to our jumpstart with Key Motorola and Scientific set-top box addressable interfaces globally. A little history on Zenith and Chicago. Since coincidentally the Olympics was relevant as well in our conversation. Zenith headquarters was in the north suburb of Glencoe. Since my brother was the FBO at Boone County Airport, he flew up QO for a meeting landing at a small airport near Zenith. The 1992 Summer Olympic Games in Barcelona included the iconic lighting of the cauldron via archer Antonio Rebolo's arrow. The Dream Team made it one of the most memorable, if not the best, ever. My Chicago connection included time spent at Zenith in Chicago developing our interface to their addressable controller, allowing pay-per-view for the Olympics. We got great support from product manager G.L. Wright. Now GL is Director Sales Set-Top Box Division at Samsung Electronics America. Another interesting memory is flying to Tokyo in late 80s, Olympics 2020, spending a couple of days in Tokyo, then flying to Saipan, Tinian, near Saipan. With all the Japanese tourists flying that route now, cheap golf weekend and World War II memorials and casino, there must be thoughts by travelers back to World War II and B-29s, bombers flying that same route. Enola Gay took off from Tinian. Other people I met at the pool include
Casey convenience store owner who has downsized. Had a bigger store that sold gas but got an offer from Pakistani buyers he couldn't refuse, so bought a store without the gas pumps.
He said he was getting pressed to pay $15 an hour but has resisted. Pays a little over $12 an hour with $200 a month bonus if business is good. Big football fan. Enamored with Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. Made the offhanded comment that the Pakistanis must be going to blow something up. I grew up in my family's service station, so understood the business lingo. My uncle founded an oil distributor company that was taken to next level by my cousin and recently sold White Oak stations serving several states. Lady and husband from Topeka, Kansas. She worked for large insurance companies. She informed me that Topeka was the capital of Kansas. I responded that I was very familiar with Kansas. We had installed several cable software systems in the state. One had been in Russell, home of Bob Dole, where our installer mentioned the sign in the motel room to not clean your guns with her towels. She mentioned being more near Russell, so understood my reference to hunters. Little things and good memory help build relationships. Nashville banker and wife lamenting they were unable to attend Tennessee-Arkansas football game in Fayetteville last fall due to COVID restrictions. I talked about area and communities where we had installed our cable software. A couple lived in Brentwood. I told them the story where our system was including Amish communities in their passings for purposes of increasing value. Our audit system caught it and reduced the purchase price. Bankers relate to stories about audits and businesses overvaluing their assets. Always good contacts. Retired accountant from St. Louis moved to KC to be closer to grandkids, trading the Redbirds for the Royals and Chiefs. I restrained myself from telling the story about my CPA friend who lives in the Kansas suburbs after moving from Harrison. Thought I'd let bygones be bygones. Accounting language for if they live in same area and haven't already met, there's probably a reason. The gentleman on the right told me that I had made his day. I found a shady spot by the pool near the trash can. So the Alabama cap automatically created some sports banter. Ray started by saying he had known Bear Bryant, and although he had met Nick Saban, Bear was his favorite. Thought Arkansas had made a great hire with Pittman and expected improvement. As a test, I asked how Bear got his name, and Ray talked about how Bear, as a youth, fought a bear at a carnival, getting paid $1 for each minute. but never got paid his dollar. Important little known fact. Also knew Bear's record at every school he coached. Good enough for me. Ray wouldn't tell me his age, said he had a girlfriend from the Czech Republic and didn't want her to know. I went at it from several directions and could only determine he was a youth that hung out at practices and Bear always spent time with him. Good enough for me. I told him my Joe Namath story when I talked with Broadway Joe one-on-one at a cable convention. He was there promoting a sports legends cable channel. Obviously my conversation was about 1964 when Arkansas beat Nebraska in the Cotton Bowl while Bama was beaten by Texas in the Orange Bowl. I was recalling how Texas had outplayed them, verbally replaying the game. He politely corrected me on several of my remembrances. Also had no regrets that Alabama was named national champions prior to the Bowls. That changed the next year. For Hog fans, Namath was keeping up with the Razorbacks at the time. Since Danny Ford, the Hogs head coach, had been his roommates at Alabama. Ray countered by simply saying that he met Namath in an elevator and had a posture signed by him. Good enough for me. Other things more on the dark side, he mentioned that he had been a big supporter of George Wallace and that he wanted to be buried in his Confederate uniform, but did say that he wouldn't wear it in public to avoid being shot. Being on vacation, I stayed with football and ignored politics. Not good enough for me. With our common interest in sports, he was willing to talk about other feelings he might not have mentioned to others. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Conclusions. Relationship selling involves gathering data about the community where target opportunities reside. Community can be broadly defined as a body of persons with a common history or common social, economic, and political interests, narrowly as their geographic space. Informal information gathering techniques can remove facades. What's professed publicly to what's believed privately. Behavioral marketing and targeted sales involves gathering the right information. Knowledge of what facts are most important comes from keen, highly developed analytical skills. Although AI, artificial intelligence, is becoming the gold standard for collecting data and making decisions, always spend time collecting anecdotal evidence to confirm or disprove the AI model. My efforts were social, but information gathered could be used for professional and business vetting if ever a need. Easy to give my elevator pitch on my home area, including Buffalo National River, Lakes, Branson, Big Cedar, Johnny Morris, and Northwest Arkansas, Walmart, Crystal Bridges. Obviously, if there was a remote threat to cancel the local or SEC football season, due to failure to reach the 70% or even 50% in many southern states herd immunity, getting vaccinations in the South or community would have a need for speed to get or done, to quote Larry the Cable Guy, Tom Cruise, and Nick Saban. But it won't happen.
So why do you think Herb is taking his family, his wife and his daughter, out to Phoenix in the middle of summertime, the hottest days of the year? Why do you think he's taking them?
I don't know who he's trying to get to. I don't know, but I'm really glad that I've had the opportunity to meet Herb and become a friend to him, because he has always got something funny to say, and he is always on to new projects. I mean, the man never stops. He just goes like the Energizer Bunny. Although he doesn't go fast, he's still moving, and he's still coming up here, and he still encourages people, and he will sit and listen to you all day long if you wanted to talk to him.